Welcome to History with Herodotus, where we embark on a journey through the vast expanse of human experience, navigating the twists and turns of time to uncover the secrets of our shared past. Today, we find ourselves at the threshold of one of the most pivotal moments in world history: the Mongol invasions of Eurasia, a cataclysmic event that would forever alter the fabric of civilizations across two continents. In the early 13th century, the winds of change were stirring on the eastern steppes of Asia, where a young and ambitious leader named Temujin was forging an empire that would soon shake the foundations of the known world. Born around 1162 AD, Temujin, later known as Genghis Khan, was a member of the Borjigin tribe, a Mongol people who had long been fragmented and at odds with one another. However, to his exceptional leadership, strategic prowess, and an unwavering vision for unity, Temujin began to consolidate power, gradually drawing disparate tribes under his authority. As we delve into this fascinating narrative, let us transport ourselves to the rolling hills and endless plains of Mongolia, where the harsh climate and unforgiving environment had tempered the Mongol people into a resilient and resourceful nation. It was here, amidst the rugged beauty of the Altai Mountains and the vast expanses of the Gobi Desert, that Temujin's remarkable journey began to take shape. The early life of Temujin is shrouded in mystery, but it is known that he faced numerous challenges, including the death of his father, Yasuge, when Temujin was just a boy. This event left his family vulnerable and exposed, forcing them to rely on the charity of relatives and allies. As Temujin grew in stature and influence, he began to attract a loyal following of warriors and tribal leaders who were drawn to his charisma, intelligence, and unwavering commitment to unity. One of his earliest and most trusted allies was Jamuka, a childhood friend and fellow tribesman who would later become a rival claimant to leadership. Together, they formed a formidable partnership, raiding neighboring tribes and gradually expanding their territorial control. The Mongol people at this time were primarily nomadic herders, living in portable gur dwellings and subsisting on a diet of meat, dairy products, and whatever grains they could cultivate in the harsh steppe environment. Their society was organized into kinship groups, with a complex system of tribal affiliations and alliances that often shifted like the sands of the Gobi Desert. Temujin's genius lay in his ability to transcend these tribal divisions, forging a sense of shared identity and purpose among the Mongol people. He achieved this through a combination of military conquest, strategic marriage alliances, and the introduction of a new code of laws known as the Yasa, which emphasized loyalty, discipline, and meritocracy. As the years passed, Temujin's power and influence continued to grow, attracting the attention of neighboring states and empires. The Tanguts, a Chinese dynasty that controlled much of western China, began to view the rising Mongol leader with increasing concern, recognizing the potential threat he posed to their territorial integrity. In 1206, a pivotal year in Mongol history, Temujin was formally recognized as the Khan, or supreme leader, of the Mongol people. It was at this moment, surrounded by his loyal followers and allies, that he adopted the title Genghis Khan, which translates to universal ruler or oceanic ruler. This marked the beginning of a new era in Mongol history, one that would be characterized by unprecedented expansion, conquest, and transformation. As Genghis Khan, Temujin's vision for a unified Mongol empire began to take shape. He set his sights on the neighboring Tangut dynasty, which controlled a vast territory stretching from modern-day Ningxia to Gansu province in western China. In 1207, Genghis Khan launched a series of campaigns against the Tanguts, using his mobile cavalry and clever tactics to outmaneuver their more traditional armies. The Tanguts, confident in their fortified cities and numerical superiority, were initially slow to respond to the Mongol threat, but as the years passed, they found themselves increasingly beleaguered by Genghis Khan's relentless attacks. One of the most significant battles of this period took place in 1209, when Genghis Khan led a massive army against the Tangut city of Yinchuan, which was then the capital of the Western Xia dynasty. The Mongols employed their signature tactic of feigned retreats and encirclement, luring the Tangut defenders out of their fortified city and into a devastating ambush. As the Tangut army fled in disarray, Genghis Khan's cavalry pursued them relentlessly, cutting down any who stood in their way. The city of Yinchuan was eventually captured, and its inhabitants were either massacred or incorporated into the Mongol Empire. The fall of Yinchuan marked a turning point in the Mongol-Tangut Wars, as the Tanguts were forced to cede large swaths of territory to Genghis Khan's empire. The Mongols continued to press their advantage, launching campaigns against the Jin dynasty in northern China and the Muslim kingdoms of Central Asia. In 1211, Genghis Khan led a massive army against the Jin dynasty, using his cavalry to outflank and encircle the Jin defenders. The Jin emperor, Xuanzong, was forced to flee his capital at Bianjing, modern-day Kaifeng, as the Mongols poured into the city, sacking its palaces and temples. As the Mongol Empire expanded, Genghis Khan established a sophisticated system of governance, dividing his territories into khanates and appointing trusted lieutenants to govern in his name. He also promoted trade and cultural exchange, encouraging merchants and scholars to travel along the Silk Road, which stretched from China to Europe. The Mongols were tolerant of different religions and cultures, allowing local customs and traditions to flourish under their rule. In 1219, Genghis Khan launched a campaign against the Khwarezmid Empire, which controlled much of modern-day Iran, Afghanistan, and Uzbekistan. The Khwarezmid Shah, Muhammad II, was a powerful and ruthless ruler who had been expanding his empire through conquest and diplomacy. However, he underestimated the Mongol threat, believing that his fortified cities and numerous armies would be sufficient to repel the invaders. Genghis Khan's army swept across the Khwarezmid Empire, capturing city after city and massacring any who resisted. The Shah himself was forced to flee, eventually dying on an island in the Caspian Sea. The conquest of the Khwarezmid Empire marked a significant turning point in the Mongol invasions of Eurasia, as Genghis Khan's empire now stretched from China to the Caspian Sea. The Mongols continued to expand their territories, launching campaigns against the Russian principalities and the Eastern European kingdoms. In 1223, the Mongols defeated a combined army of Russians, Bulgars, and Cumans at the Battle of the Kalka River, marking the beginning of a long period of Mongol dominance in Eastern Europe. As the Mongol Empire continued its expansion into Eastern Europe, it encountered fierce resistance from the combined forces of the Russian principalities, the Teutonic Knights, and the Kingdom of Hungary. In 1236, the Mongols invaded Russia, capturing the city of Ryazan and massacring its inhabitants. The following year, they defeated the combined forces of the Russians, Bulgars, and Cumans at the Battle of the Sit River, marking a significant turning point in the Mongol conquest of Eastern Europe. The Mongol invasion of Europe continued unabated, with the armies of Batu Khan, a grandson of Genghis Khan, sweeping across the continent, leaving destruction and devastation in their wake. In 1241, the Mongols defeated the Polish and German armies at the Battle of Legnica, and then went on to defeat the Hungarian army at the Battle of Mohi, marking the farthest western extent of the Mongol Empire. However, the Mongol invasion of Europe was eventually halted by the death of Urgadi Khan, the successor of Genghis Khan, in 1241. The Mongol armies withdrew from Europe, and the empire began to fragment into four main khanates: the Yuan dynasty in China, the Golden Horde in Russia, the Chagatai Khanate in Central Asia, and the Ilkhanate in Persia. The legacy of the Mongol invasions of Eurasia is complex and multifaceted. On one hand, the Mongols brought about widespread destruction and devastation, killing millions of people and destroying countless cities and towns. As the historian Ibn al-Athir wrote, "The Mongols came, and they destroyed all the villages and towns, and they killed all the people, and they left nothing but rubble and decay." On the other hand, the Mongols also facilitated trade and cultural exchange across the vast expanse of their empire, establishing the Silk Road as a major conduit for the exchange of goods, ideas, and cultures. The Mongols were tolerant of different religions and cultures, allowing local customs and traditions to flourish under their rule. Today, the Mongol invasions of Eurasia are remembered as a pivotal moment in world history, marking the beginning of a new era of global interconnectedness and cultural exchange. The Mongols may have been fierce warriors, but they were also skilled administrators, diplomats, and traders who helped to shape the modern world as we know it. The Mongols may have been a destructive force, but they were also a creative force, bringing about new ideas, cultures, and technologies to the regions they conquered. That's all for today's History with Herodotus. Remember to like, share, and subscribe, and until next time, remember that, to understand the present, we must first understand the past.